Hey, non-existent audience. It's me, Jaquweb. Uh, I don't even know what really to call this, but God, for some reason, I'm a lot more nervous for this one than any other stream or any recording I've ever done for anything. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's getting into some of my other hobbies that I'm even less um confident about. So, I am actually one of my hobbies is actually writing. Oh God, Mike fucking Pete. Hold on, I'm so bad at this. Okay, hopefully is this better? Is this better? I think that's better. Okay. Oh my God. Uh, yeah. So I like writing. That's my hobbies. I would actually love to go into a creative thing. I've actually been writing a book, or at least attempting to, for the last few years. And it's been going away. You know how it is. But I'm also a big fan of VTubers, Nijisanji, and when I was watching Etheria's outfit reveal and I saw that lore, it kind of got that creative spark of me in me working. And then when Et Soleil came out, it kind of went up even more. And I've been having some major writer's block for a while now, so hopefully maybe this will help. But I kind of had an idea of floating around, just kind of in my head. It's like think of it. It's basically just a giant fan fiction with Niji Sanji lore, and I'm not really sure what exactly to call this or how they go about it. So I'm just gonna kind of go fit. Originally, I had this idea, and I was kind of actually working on it a little bit with Hololive when the first alternative trailer came out, and then I decided, and then Niji Sanji lore and stuff, and I got an idea, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should try doing that for Niji Sanji. Will I actually ever do any of this? I have no idea. Hopefully, I think it would be kind of fun to do because even if there are some issues with their lore, which I'll get into that in a little bit. Um, Sorry, I don't know why. Just it's just tonight, or whatever. I don't know. Uh, yeah. So basically, I was thinking of, I started thinking about it, and I started playing in my head, and the type of uh, just what. Oh my God, I'm doing so bad. Please give me, please, not as his audience, just give me a second. But you know how Niji Sanji has its lore, you know, but it does. They don't really do anything with it. And I kind of like thinking, what if there was something like that? What if they does you see like Hololive's kind of getting into it with like alternative and error and stuff, and V Sojo's doing their little lore videos, which I think will lead to something probably bigger that they're doing. But Nijisanji hasn't really done anything with their lore, and I wanted to see about trying to do something. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Uh, but yeah, so I've just decided I'm just gonna come here and I'm just gonna kind of talk through some of the things I'm thinking about, planning, what I'm doing with everyone as a whole. It's probably I'm saying a lot. Nothing's ever probably gonna come from it, but I was thinking, might as well try and make something out of it. So I'm start off. I'm gonna talk about basically the structure of what I was thinking. So the structure I was thinking of originally, with the whole live one that I came up with, I was having like a big journey for having them all like. You guys know that if you know the show Heroes, uh, the first season, which was amazing. After that, it was, and then just steadily went downhill. But anyways, that's not the point. It's basically all these characters are like with their different storylines, and they're eventually coming together and merging into one big storyline. into one big climax, and that's kind of like the idea I had. And I was planning on doing that with Nijisanji when I was kind of doing it, but I decided to scrap a lot of what I'm doing. So in like Luca's lore video, you see it. It was starting off with like him streaming, and then it went into his background. And thinking about that, it's kind of like instead of having them not know each other in the beginning of the story, maybe have this be in Nijisanji, like while they're streaming, and then have all these. And I'm still gonna have all these different stories lines going for everyone, and they eventually will all merge into one big. But yeah, but in this timeline, in this story, they are actually streamers, which it was something I never really thought about. But then the idea kind of came to me, and I'm like, that would actually with fit with some of the lore and make it neat. There are a few issues with Nijisanji lore. Two main ones, Noctits and more or less Etheria. Sorry, I kind of had a little burp there. Noctits is the main. Noctits is probably the main problem. And kind of a little bit into Lutsium too. But time travel is really fucking hard to write. I've seen a whole lot of stories try to do it, and it's timelines and parallel universes, and it's really hard to write. And even worse is when a series adds that stuff in when it had no reason to be in there in the first place. Looking at you, Charlotte. Yeah, it's really hard. And of course, they made that like one of the big parts of their lore with Lucium and Noctits. But the main issue is the timelines. Like they're all from the future, but all their futures are different, more as if they're not actually from the same future. There's no like those Albans and Yukis looks similar, but then you got like Foders and Yugos and and it's just, it doesn't all like fit together. And Sunny's, and it just as I said, it just doesn't fit together. And I was thinking of changing that in a way. I haven't fully decided what I wanted to do. Like I was either thinking I would have it change it from, instead of the future, maybe they came from like parallel universes or other timelines or something, and they just kind of think they're from the future. And that could also be considered the same case for like Lutsium people too. Possibly that's one possible decision I could do, way I could go about it. The other way I could go about it is just have it be possible futures, which I guess is kind of the same as different timelines, but this would still technically be the future. Time travel is it's fucking pain in the ass, man. So I'm kind of debating how I want to do that, because I'm gonna have to retcon some things. And then there's Etheria, which it was mainly Millie, Enna, mainly Enna's actually, but Millie and Nina's too. They a little bit of Nina's, but their main issue is the fact, and I always hate when stories do this, and this isn't because of religious reasons or anything, but I hate it when they take heaven and hell into a story, but then they like change it. Like they not only do they add in the afterlife, but they add in like there's also now it's a world like ours, but with angels and demons, and it's like, what? But isn't it supposed to be the after? And they keep adding this shit, and it keeps conflicting, and at that point you might as well not even call it heaven or hell anymore. And that's the main issue, because if you look at Aya's lore, she's in heaven and she's living. So she's in heaven and she's basically living a life with the angels and whatnot. So, but if heaven's also a place that people go when they die, well, does that mean the angels are people? Are people that died? Did Aya used to be a person, then died and became an angel, or and what about all these goddesses and gods and stuff? And then we get into, and I noticed this especially with when people do this with hell, where they have like these demon societies in though, but also make it a God, I always do this thing where I like forget what I'm saying in the middle of stuff sometimes. Uh, and you're just hold on, let me think. I lost my train of thought. Uh, oh yeah, and but they have that stuff, but then it's also a place where the bad people go for eternal punishment. But they that but if they have societies, where does the eternal punishment thing come in? Where shouldn't these bad people not be walking around living their lives like a normal human? Like that doesn't even make sense. And it's kind of the one of the things that I'm essentially retconning. Another main reason for that is because when if it's also a place, these are also places like physical places that people can go to and from, as we've seen with various livers, and it's also a place where the dead go. That kind of trivializes death, doesn't it? It kind of, if the dead can just go back, that's for just in some way that kind of just makes it meaningless, makes it pointless, and it's one of the things. So I'm trying to change. I'm getting rid of all that, and then I'm changing Millie and Anna's lore mainly because, again, what I said about people, the trivializing death, like Anna is a dead person that went to heaven, or sorry, but that was punished and went to hell and then went to heaven and now she's back on Earth. It's just kind of like death is kind of meaningless if you're able to just do that with people. So instead, I'm thinking more fallen angel kind of thing, where she was she was banished and she was stuck in hell for a bit, and then but that didn't seem to quote unquote rehabilitate her as they were kind of hoping, I guess. So they brought her back, and I'm gonna go more into this when I start talking about people specifically. But and they brought her back, and then they're like, "We're gonna turn you to a songbird now and send you to Earth." And yeah, so I'm retconning that. And another thing I'm retconning is Millie, because Millie's lore, half of it doesn't make sense. The first half were like the grandma and the thing that's in her lore video, and then she ends up going to Earth and losing her power somehow, and then living a terrible, boring life as an office lady or something. That's fine, but it's like, but she meets Anna in hell, where Anna gives her a parfait or something. Which, how the hell does she even have that in hell, in the first place? And then she teleports to, and then Millie's just teleporting out of hell to the Earth, which then again is hell a place of the dead, or is it not? Like you got to choose one, and that's my one issue, and that was what I was thinking there, is to also get rid of that. Maybe I didn't see them having met while Anna was banished, and I think we'll go with that. I'll go with that probably, but it's the the reason she went to Earth in the first place. Maybe someone was telling her about the desserts and stuff. That when they visited hell and she wanted to go too, and then there was, and I think I have a reason for that, for why she loses her power and stuff. But again, that's going to be going into it a bit later. So right now, that's the main issues that I'm gonna be retconning. I'm gonna still trying to figure out what I want to do with Nazis and Lutzium a bit. Is gonna be hard, and probably the hardest part is trying to figure out a way to get it all to fit and work. And now with Zion's new lore, which kind of also puts damper on that because, apparently there's this war that happens within a year, but in that destroys the Earth, and so she comes back in time, but this war doesn't happen in any of Nazis's futures, so it's kind of like, ah, again, time travel's complete. So, anyways, going back to the story structure. So, what I was thinking is having something similar as like everyone coming together for one big climax with multiple stories going on. I'm thinking have a couple storylines that going on in tangent where they eventually connect and form. Uh, like one of the say one of the things is with Rosame's lore. I'm thinking of adding Diablo Jim. I think I'm gonna do that. But while that's going on, then we got uh, Soleil and Aluna doing something at the same time, and then we got like the other members of then we got Lazulite or something, and just there's gonna be multiple different villains with one main villain. The main, which I'll get to in a second. I keep saying I'll get to it, but yeah, that's gonna be the pressure, and it's gonna take place in, I guess, let's say the present, like now, while they're streaming. And during that, I was thinking having flashbacks, kind of like, think of it like a mix between the first season of Heroes and Lost, kind of, where like they're doing something and then it will jump to a flashback and then we'll jump to some new, back to the present, and it's just kind of like jumping around to show people's backstories and whatnot. The exact timeline of events, I don't fully have grasp. I got, again, this is mainly just me talking about ideas I had with things. It's not fuck, I hit my pop filter. Yeah. Yeah, so basically there's, again, I've repeated myself probably about like 5 times now. So numerous storylines going on in tangent, and there's gonna be a big main villain, and I kind of have some, and he sorry, he has a main goal, which is to become a god essentially, and he's using all these other smaller villains, let's say like Diablo Jim in Rosame's storyline, to help him, either like they work for him, or they're like, hey, if you help me, I'll help you, or in a way that's just he just wants to, which I'll get into that in a second. Because what I'm thinking of for so what his goal again is to become a god, and he's planning on doing so to become by those diamonds, like the giant diamond that Albin tries stealing in his timeline, and that sends him back. Like, he's trying to collect all those. Like the Chaos Thermals or the Dragon Balls. I know, original concept is such great original concept. But that's what I'm thinking, and I'm thinking of the reason it could bring, like, for Albin in a sense, is that maybe in this timeline, some of the gems got destroyed somehow or something, or they're unusable. So he pluts 1 or 2 from another timeline, which is what brings Albin and possibly others into the timeline, into this present timeline or world or whatever. So I'm thinking, and basically, that's his goal, and his motives, because he can, which, a lot of people would say that's a stupid motive, and in a way it is, but I'm thinking of it this way. I don't think, people are like, you can't be evil just to be evil, and I slightly disagree with that. It just depends on how you go about it. I mean, look at the Joker, okay? I think that's a perfect example. But basically, okay, here's basically a line he would say when explaining his motives. Why, you asked? Why do I do what I do? It's simple. Because it's fun. What, you thought there was going to be some deep-seated meaning behind it? Some tragic backstory? No, I do what I do for the same reason that you play video games or watch anime or stream, because it is fucking fun, man. And what's more fun than being a god? Soon, this world and all the timelines, it will be my sandbox, and you all will be my precious little toys. Well, no, precious wouldn't be the right word. You will all be my, and you will all be my little toys, or something like that. Basically, that's kind of the reason I'm gotten for why he does what he does. He just wants to have quote unquote fun, and I don't, because think of it like, we got serial killers, and everyone's like, oh, they must have a deep tragic backstory. I mean, maybe they just like killing. You ever thought about that? And that's kind of what I'm going with. It might be stupid, but in my head, I think it works. Maybe I'm not an expert on this. I try. I'm stupid, and I fail. It's as simple as that. But going back to what I was saying, so basically, all this stuff going on, and I haven't fully figured out what is what, and that's part of the reason I'm doing this. I probably won't. Again, I don't know if I'll ever actually write anything. I wouldn't even know where to post anything if I did write. But okay, let's go into the main portion. So basically, I was thinking, the cat's meowing. I was thinking, so Nijisanji, they all work for Nijisanji. I was thinking, just do the simple, Nijisanji isn't what it appears, blah blah blah. And I'm thinking, though I think most of them don't know this. I think only a few are going to know the real meaning behind it, and the reason why it was made, and because it was essentially made to prevent the end of everything, the end of all realities, which is basically the guy, trying to become a god, So that's my thought, and I'm thinking. Okay, so, and this goes into, now since we're getting to this point, we're going to talk about just each character individually, and we're going to go through them more or less in order of debut, Lazulite, Acidia, Etheria, blah, 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 and not like exact order, because I don't have it all memorized, but starting with Illyria. Illyria is actually the one who knows the most. She knows everything. She knows more than she lets on, and she doesn't let anyone. And no one knows how much she knows it. So, what I was thinking is a couple things, actually. First off, her eye. I was thinking maybe, her eye is covered. We all joke that she has one eye, blah, blah, blah. Or her eye has some sort of power. So, I don't know, let's make it simple. Her eye sees the future, It allows her. Of course, it will be limited in certain ways, like, she can't control what she sees. She only sees so much. She doesn't get the full picture. Maybe, thinking, maybe her sight has deteriorated with age. Because Illyria is actually going to be very, very old. Dai Senpai and all that, So what I'm thinking is, actually, I had this idea, using this. I got one of the things that started me to really think about this stuff was Etheria's costumes. It was like adding their costume into this. So basically, Illyria is, or was, a dragon goddess. Let's go with that. Like, she was a dragon, and she got elevated to the rank of god pretty early on in her life, or dragon life. So like few hundred years, and so she gets elevated into goddesshood, and she has the ability to see slightly into the future and not. And I was thinking, and we would be shown this through flashbacks, and I'm thinking, in the flashbacks, in her goddess form, she would be her second outfit, her, with the tiara and the fluffy fluff around her shoulder. I really don't know what that's called. I don't know. I really don't know clothes names and stuff. I should learn, but I just can't. I never figure that stuff out. Anyways, so I'm thinking, she's goddess, and I'm thinking making her probably leader, as in the presider of the Heavenly Council or something like that at some point. And of course, Illyria is Illyria. Maybe like in the beginning when she starts off, when her position, she's a bit more serious. Um, but as time goes on, she lightens up a bit and becomes the Illyria we know, the Iwiba that we know. Um, that's my thought on it. Let's see. So basically, sorry, she's a goddess, and at some point, probably like I'm thinking, probably since her mom dies or she gets sick, even or sick in a way, and like dragon cancer or something. I don't fucking know. So, and that causes her to be like, I kind of want to live my life the way I want to live my life. So she essentially retires. So she calls it her retirement, and she goes to the human realm, and just kind of like gets into like anime and video games and stuff. She's always had a fondness for the mortal realm, and not human. Just there's gonna be, I don't know what to call them. Just there's obviously more than just humans, living in that world. Just heaven will be the celestial realm, obviously. Earth, I don't want to say mortal realm, because these celestial beings are also, I mean, they can also die. They also get old. They also age and stuff. So they're not like immortal, technically. So I'll just call it the mortal realm or the human realm for right now. I'll probably change that in the future. Um, so so she basically goes and she's living her retirement, which a lot of the celestial beings are kind of on the council are kind of happy with it about that, because she was kind of a bit of a wild cannon in a way. So she's down there in her retirement, just kind of lazing about, and then she gets a major vision in her eye, um, and it's insane vision about the end of the world, and she's like, "No, this is my retirement. I'm not supposed to be here." Oh, and I forgot to mention, when she retires, she gives up a good portion of her power and some of her lifespan to be kind of more normalized. So she won't be like super overpowered and won't be able to just solve all the problems. So sorry, I got off track, but basically, um, and she's like, "No, I don't want to do this, blah blah blah," and eventually she does, because end of the world, blah blah blah. It's not like she can't. So she decides to create using what she's seen. She's decided to create I guess, team in a way. Because one of the things she saw in her vision is basically her and all the Nijisanji people, like in a group photo or something like that. So she's like, I need to get a bunch of people together. I don't fully know who these people are, but I have an idea. And so she decides, let's make a thing. Let's make a little thing disguised as a company, and company Nijisanji. Let's make live streams, because why not have fun with it? You're gonna save the world, gotta have some fun. Can't be all just gloomy about it. Gotta have fun. Uh, you know, that's the reason. So then she makes Nijisanji. She's actually the head, but she's not like the figurehead. It's actually the CEO, which may or may not be Riku Kazumi, may or may not. But she's but no one else, but most of the people in Nijisanji don't know this. Most of the Nijisanji don't know that where she at, or the whole point of of Nijisanji's creation. They just think that it's just a live streamer with a bunch of very interesting people. Just come on, there's no way a live stream would have that many different types of people with various abilities, bat stories, supernatural bat stories. You know, we got like time travelers, psychics, aliens, dragons, demons, angels, gods and goddesses, um, fucking penguin. It's just you gotta. So that's my whole thing. And of course, they eventually, people learn, you know, and I guess now I think about it, people might be like, well, why didn't you just straight up tell them? Well, I mean, I guess my reasoning for that is either one, I highly doubt some of these people would join if she's like, hey, let's save the world. Um, Two, I'm thinking maybe she just didn't want the fun times to end. She of course she kept it quiet in the beginning because of the first reason, but second reason, she doesn't want it to end. She doesn't want to be the downer. She doesn't want to let all these. She wants it to stay a secret, and secretly hopes that the end doesn't actually come, and it was all a dream, and something. But she knows it's not. But that's my idea for it. Uh, Illyria is probably the one I thought out. It was probably the ones I thought out the most. You know, about their bat story and stuff, and the way they and hold on, sorry, is something wrong with my mic? No, that's just me. Okay, that's just me being dumb. I thought I noticed something in OBS. So it's just oh oh yeah, and then let's move on to Pomu, and Pomu is something I'm not exactly sure how to deal with. Originally, I kind of had an idea, but I decided to. But when I decided to change the direction I was actually planning on doing it, I kind of lost the reason. And I know there will be some people in the non-existent audience that would be like, "Well, they just did a thing. Her, Pomu, Selene, and Rosemi did a stream where they rewrote each other's lore. Attribute that." And my answer to that is no, because that was like, I watched that stream. I mean, it was entertaining, but the writing, the lore writing was the equivalent of a self-insert bad fan fiction. Special. No, I'm not. Um, it's tempting to put something involving b-ball in there, but no, I'm not doing that. Great stream though, but no, I really hope they don't actually try and make those, because it's not great. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. It's not like anyone's watching, but let's see. Pomo, I'm not. She's obviously a fairy, and she had to. She's from Virtual Neverland. I'm not sure whether she's just gonna be, if she's just gonna be a fairy, just a normal fairy, or if she's gonna be from some other dimension or something. Probably just. Well, I'm thinking of making her more like a demonic fairy, in a way. Basically, her shadow hands. I really want to add that into it. I really want there to be more than just a fairy, in a sense, because I love the shadow hands. I love and fairies don't have that. So I'm thinking. So I don't know. I'm just trying to think. It'd be great if I had actual audience I could talk with about this stuff and flow some ideas through. But alas, I am but a loser, and I do not have any. So therefore, let me try and think this through. So Pomu, so she's a fairy. In my original concept, before I settled on what I was doing, I was thinking of maybe having her. Well, because of the whole multiple Pomus thing, I was thinking maybe having her. Thinking maybe making an actual Pomu like a villain, and then she would be like a rejected clone army thing. I was thinking maybe, but nah, I don't. That seems kind of stupid, even though, and I'm just driving in a more stupid way. But even though it's still stupid. But and I don't know. She's something I really don't know about. I do want to add. I think I'm gonna have scam in there as a side business. Maybe for her flashback backstory, it's her leaving her fairy forest, uh, working at the office thing, and then getting or trying to get a real job, failing at that, and then trying to start scam, and which would connect her and Rosami, is what I'm thinking. Though I don't have any like fully oh my god, reading the word crap, what's I have such a I don't know what is with me when it comes to some of this stuff. I don't have anything like really nailed down. Her is more just kind of like it's more of a spitball than anything. I can't decide. I do want her to be more than just a fairy. But how to add that into the story itself is something that is eluding me at the moment. And you know what? It's really eluding me, Finana, because she's probably the one I have the least for out of everyone. Uh, I mean, her lore is pretty simple, and that can be a blessing. It adds to creativity. At the same time, it can also make things harder. Um, so she's her lore is she's a tropical mermaid, descendant of the sea god. Uh, Descendant of sea god. She comes to the human. She comes to the above ground because she is curious about humans and their society, and humans would probably be the dominant race of the world, but clearly not the only race. So one of the things I was thinking about, like considering like this world, if if mermaids were real, they would. I guarantee, with all the pollution we do to the water, I highly doubt they would come to us and be like, "Hey, let's be friends. I want to learn more about you." No, they would probably hate us. Um, in reality, but thankfully this isn't reality. So I don't know. Maybe her time just normally hates land dwellers. Just maybe they're a bit pollutant of the ocean. Maybe not as pollutant as we are in this world, but like they're not as because now in the ocean there are actual sentient living beings who can declare war. So it's probably not as bad. But I see them maybe we can yeah maybe I can have them be have them tend to not like land dwellers, humans and whatnot. And Finana is kind of like the Little Mermaid, and she's like really curious, and she goes off when other people are like, "No, don't do it. The humans are awful. The land dwellers are evil. They're gonna fucking eat you or something." I don't know. It's just so I'm thinking maybe. Yeah, that sounds good. That could work. But like, what about but like her? Not actually. Now I'm thinking, is she a princess? I don't think she's a princess. Well, I didn't actually. If she's the descendant of the sea god, I didn't see her being a princess. Yeah, that could work. That could work. And then she's, you know, kind of like a whole Little Mermaid scenario. Is her, and then she eventually comes to the land, and Finana's also one of the ones. Even in like going, not even like thinking about a backstory, but just like in the present, like in the present time, like what would she actually be able to do in terms of uh fighting ability? I mean, if she's in water, yeah, maybe she can have some kind of control of water, maybe. Well, if she's the sea god, if she's the sea god, actually, I didn't see her having some sort of water powers, some control over the sea. Actually, that that could work. Actually, I think. Okay, yeah, I'll definitely do that. Yeah. So she's not like Petra level, power level. Yeah, yeah. So I think I'll do that, and I'll do a little mermaid kind of deal. She'll probably have probably the one of the more happier bat stories out of everyone. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I can do something more. I can add more to it, and I can't think of what that could be. What? Yeah, she probably would have the most tamest bat story out of everyone. So I'm trying to. Okay, well, going so Finana and Pomo are probably the ones that I have, are probably some of the ones that I have like the least information on or least idea about what I would want to do with them. Now on to the next one. Let's start off with Selene. Okay, Selene. I think it's pretty straightforward. Her bats is I'm thinking her daddy is isekai from another timeline. Her mom is dragon. You know, really old dragon. I'm thinking probably dies when she's young. Uh, yeah, and then her mom probably dies when she's young or youngish, and then she has a goddess full dragon sister that in the past segments I'm gonna have them not get along at all. Because it's hard to relate to your full dragon goddess sister, billion-year-old older sister when you're a young half dragon who's relatively new to the world. So yeah, I think in the beginning it's gonna be a yeah, in the beginning it's gonna be they're not in the past segments they're not gonna get along well, but in the present segments they're gonna be get along as they would normally do in like streams and stuff. They get along just fine. And then Slen's backstory I think would mainly be her trying to be accepted into society, I guess, because I imagine that dragons and other celestial beings probably would look down on her because she's half dragon, and then humans I can imagine uh look being afraid of her because she is half dragon, or mortals or whatever. So I didn't see her, and especially having a human father, uh, basically her by herself, raising her by himself. Uh, so I'm thinking maybe I didn't see yeah, because I didn't picture a scenario like where Illyr is arguing with, I guess, her stepdad about like, what, you're gonna put her in a normal more human school? Are you insane? They're not gonna blah blah. They're not gonna accept her. Blah blah blah. I kind of seeing that, and she's very. I see her being very outcast in life, growing up, and then of course she's gonna have a full dragon powers, but she won't have full control over them because she's half dragon. Because when like a dragon and a human breed, though, it's half and half. But so the dragon powers don't take full. They always come out a little off, which is why her one hand can't turn into a normal hand. It's always a dragon hand, which yeah. So that could, yeah. I'm think that's probably what I'm gonna go with it, and then she becomes a becomes like a dragon racer tamer. And I'm thinking, maybe she's a bit of a troublemaker in her youth. She's you know, she uh, she acts out, but then she grows and becomes more mature and joins the group. And I'm thinking, if we take her age in present day, it would probably be maybe 100, 200, or something like that. Maybe a little more. So she won't be so she's not going to be like a normal human age. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Probably like 100 or so. Maybe a little more, a little less. That's more of the idea I'm getting at. And her powers aren't fully stable because she's only half dragon. And you know, of course, she has a dragon form, and Illyra also has a dragon form. I forgot to mention that when I was talking about Illyra. But yeah, that's my thought. That's my thoughts going into this. Again, this is all just more spitballing and ideas. As I said, I had like no idea what to do with Finata when I started this, but now I got a general idea. Now I just need to figure out the timeline about what I want them all to do. So, anyways, I'm getting kind of off topic. Not really off topic, but kind of like, okay. Petra. Let's do Petra. Petra's also one of the ones I don't exactly know what to do with. Kind of. You know, she. I'm thinking. You know, it says that she's a weird penguin human hybrid thing that they never saw before, and she was discovered in the Antarctic and taken in by her. This is lore. This is her lore, like official lore, by the way. By her to one of her parents, which is the research team, and they had her streaming, and they had her start streaming as a experiment, in a way. And I'm thinking I'm thinking doing something like that. I mean, well, that is her lore, but that's her basic lore. So I'm thinking maybe, and possibly maybe the people who are quote unquote raising her, maybe they're not like the most parenting kind of parents. They kind of treat her more as a test subject than a child or any of that. So thinking, she was discovered. She kind of like she was told she wandered into a research lab or something, or a human settlement ish like thing. She's discovered. Scientists get her hand on her. They're like, "Oh, what is this thing? Let's." Luckily, they don't dissect her. That's good. Uh, and so I'm thinking maybe something like, she's trying to live her. She leaves the research. The research team gets her into streaming, as a little experiment, as a funny haha. Let's get the penguin freak stream, and towards and but it's noticed by Nijisanji, and she is brought into the group, and she's trying to live her normal-ish life by streaming and going to school, kind of like how she's doing in real life, where she's both going to university and streaming. And I'm thinking, let's parallel that for Petra for the most part, and that will mainly be her past. It's basically just kind of, yeah, that's basically her lore. She was basically kind of like treated as a plaything for the scientists, even though they were technically like the only family she had. And then she eventually got picked up by Nijisanji till she turned out to be pretty good at streaming or something. Just, I don't, I don't know. Sorry, I was drinking water. I just realized, should I be muting when I go to drink water? Does the mic pick that up? I mean, I know it picks it up, but is it really? Look, I have no idea what I'm doing. I never have any idea what I'm doing. This is just me just kind of saying things and hoping something happens. I don't fucking know. Yeah, that's the basic Petra lore. I'm thinking of having Now, Obsidia. Maybe I'll have Obsidia and some Lazulite go along with Rosemi's storyline. Because Rosemi's storyline is gonna be one of the main storylines, and basically her lore is basically the same as her her lore right now. It's already pretty much set. It's, she's actually a demon, and she has the rose and demon, and she was given um the high. Watch her outfit lore video. It will explain a lot better than I can. But yeah. So basically, it's her lore. She gets the rose, and she gets found by. She's sent to the mortal realm. Hell gets closed off by the rose. She possesses the rose. She gets found by a family that's overprotective of her, uh, very overprotective of her. So she never really got to go out and meet people and whatnot. So then she sees, Pomu, and gets tricked her way into becoming an internet scam, eventually leading to them joining Nijisanji. So I'm thinking, and then one of the main storylines for the present is going to be Diablo Jim going for the rose. He'll be one of the villains. He'll be making a deal with the main villain, being like, "Hey, you help me, I'll help you," kind of thing. And then he does basically more or less what he does in in her outfit reveal lore video. And basically, which also adds to the thing in the world building with heaven, hell, and the mortal realm. Hell is sealed off this entire time. Which all which puts a bit of a pin into Millie's and Anna's lore, which is another reason why I'm kind of retconning them. So yeah, so basically her lore is basically like, her storyline is basically what it's like already. I'm not really going to be changing much or adding much to it, at least at the moment. Let's see. Next is Etheria, which is good because now that I'm done with Rosemary, I didn't kind of. So I'm thinking, let's start with Millie. Millie is, we know Millie's basic lore. She lived with her grandma, who was teaching her magic. People came in, it's like evil witch, whatever, burned down her house. She still has her grandma's fort, which is her wand. Made a pact with Lucy, who saved her, and now they can't be too far apart. Which I need to figure out what I want to do with Lucy's origin. Which reminds, and then of course, which reminds me to her outfit lore video. Just eventually at some point they're gonna fuse together and be just like in the lore video. Which reminds me, Rosemi's outfit for when she gets her demonic powers unleashed in the video, that's also gonna be in there. That's gonna be her demonic form or whatever. And Millie's will have a fusion like that. But I need to figure out what I want. Like, what is Lucy's purpose? Why did she save Millie in the first place? Probably, maybe Lucy was dying and made a pact with Millie so they could share life force or something like that. Maybe something like that. That could be it. Seeing Millie as more someone to be used, but then the little gremlin pokes a hole in her tiny icy heart, and she becomes kind of attached to the little thing, little gremlin cat Millie thing. I don't even know where I was going with that. Please pretend I didn't. Please ignore that. But yeah, so usually Lucy saw her as something to be used, and eventually they got close. Now, what happens from the moment? So apparently she went to hell, after that. And this is where the retconning kind of starts. Because in this lore, Anna, who's like, hey, come try this stuff, and then it has pomu leaf in it, and she transport it, even though she shouldn't have access to that stuff in the to any of it in the first place. She teleports um, the Earth or whatever, and her powers don't work. She's forced to get a job. Eventually, she snaps, and she's like, "No, I'm done. I'm done with this." And she becomes homeless. Eventually, living in Hilir's basement. She's like, "Oh, that girl's kind of hot." And then she kind of like follows her home and sneaks into their basement and lives there in a cardboard box. I know, really creepy, but that's kind of her lore, so I kind of have to go with it. Uh, so so my thought is basically, instead of, she does meet Anna in while she's in hell, but Anna gets pulled away. I'll go more into that when I talked about Anna, but Anna gets pulled away, so now she's in hell, and maybe someone tells her about the how Earth is right now with all the food and stuff. She's like, "Oh, that sounds awesome," but she's trapped in hell because of the rose soon off. And Lucy's like, "We can't get there," and Millie, being super super powerful, in her times, she decides, "I'm gonna try anyways." And I feel like Lucy's kind of one of those reluctant partners that gets dragged around with Millie all the time with her shenanigans. And but I'm sure Lucy probably thought, I'm gonna control this human, and now the human controls, basically drags her around. So I'm thinking, she tries that. She managed to break through somehow. However, it saps all her power away because of her recklessness and her stupidity and the need to. So she finally gets to Earth, and she's like, "Yes, I made it." Discovers that her powers don't work, and as I said, from there, as I said, she gets a job, she snaps, blah blah blah. So that's what I'm thinking. So I'm ignoring the whole parfait thing. Uh, maybe in one of the flashbacks, she's trying to find a job, and they're like, "Last name," and she's like, "Oh," and she sees like a parfait sign and goes, "Parfait" or whatever, and parfait. What? I don't know what I'm going on about. So yeah, that's more or less Millie's. Again, I'm being very generalized with these um this stuff. That's her base backstory. Enna is a bit more complicated. So basically, instead of being a human that died, she's just an angel, celestial being and whatnot. So becomes basically fallen angel, does something, not 100% sure what, gets banished from the heavens, is stuck in hell, meets Millie. They kind of have a thing. And eventually, either A, her banishment is up and they brought her back, or B, they're like, this isn't working, and they check on her and they're like, this isn't working. She's having a good time, and they bring her back for more punishment. So either one of the two things happened, and then this happens bef- before the rose, uh, and then when it does, and she is brought back, the rose happens, and she's not stuck there. She's in heaven at this point. So at this point, I'm thinking maybe they have her. She clearly hasn't repented. She clearly hasn't changed. Blah 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 blah. So maybe they like put her in like kind of like a prison cell for a while, and maybe they were talking about executing her or something. But then, one day they bring her out, and they're like, "We got a proposition for you," and they're like, "Go to the earth, be a songbird." They turn her into a bird, which is the thing she fears most, and use her angelic voice to help humanity. And it's like, then one of the people on the Heavenly Council is like, we would prefer the SUU, but for lucky for you, someone has spoken up for you, and which turns out to be Lyra, which she doesn't know about at that moment. So then she gets thrown from heavens into Earth. Um, and she's stuck there, and then she eventually meets Millie, who at this point has snapped and left her job and is now living in Lyra's basement. So that's more or less what I'm doing. And then eventually, when Lyra discovers them, she does she again, she doesn't know that they're in her basement. She just knows who they are. As again, her future vision is limited, and now that she's let go a lot of her power, and with her old age, it's gone even worse. So she only has so much knowledge. Yeah, and then she hooks her up with someone to give her a prosthetic wing, and it goes on from there. Although I'm trying to figure out what I want, the reason why she lost the wing in the first place. Oh, that reminds me, I do need to go over something with Millie, but first let me finish this. So I'm thinking, I'm not sure. I believe I heard something about it in lore, possibly because she tried flying it once, which is what made her fear heights. I think she mentioned that in her debut or something like that. So possibly doing something like that. I don't know. I don't know. And then her new outfit will be like maybe like a kind of like an upgraded form, upgrades, which angelic form or something like that. Which brings me back to Millie. The thing I forgot to mention is about her outfit video where she's it was more in her MV where she is watching all of Etheria die in all these timelines, and she eventually, and that whole thing, and that I'm gonna have that be in a different timeline and not be really affected on the main story, this timeline I'm talking about in the story. So that probably won't be a part of it. Or I could have her be stuck in some sort of time loop or something. I could do that. I don't know. Still kind of thinking on that. So going on from Etheria, Nina. So I thought about Nina. I actually really like the idea I have for Nina. So one of the things I've heard, and I'm not sure if this is lore accurate or true, and I feel really dumb if it is true, but I heard that it mentioned somewhere that she has as many tales as she has lives she's lived. So does that mean? So I'm assuming that she has maybe something like Doctor Who. She has so many lives, and each time she dies, she is basically reborn to a new person, and she gets another tale, and maybe she has like 9 lives in total or something like that. I don't know. So she's probably, how many tales does she have right now? So I'm thinking of doing that, which also would mean for Robert her sentient tale, which would mean if her tale is sentient, that probably means that Robert was one of her past lives. I don't know. So I'm thinking, she's probably on her last life, is what I'm assuming. She's this life she's on right now is a few hundred years, maybe 1,000, probably like a couple thousand actually years old. I don't know. She's definitely on the older side in this life that she's in. Just she's not young like the others. So basically, what I'm thinking is, and I'm gonna add her. Does her new outfit looks very villainy? So I'm thinking maybe the life she had previously before the Nina life was that outfit, was a villain, was some goddess who wanted to take over the heavenly realms or something like that. I don't. And she is, and that's her. She's lady whatever her name back then was, and she is eventually, and she comes, and what I'm thinking is she comes face to face with Alira while Alira's in Goddess, and they fight, and Alira kills the previous Nina, and so therefore the Nina that we know was then born from that fight. That's what I'm going for. I kind of really like that idea. I'm thinking. And then her after that, her lore is basically her backstory. She tries to be she's the goddess of luck for a while. That doesn't work out. She's kicked out of heaven because of her drinking and just being Nina, and she fall and she kind of ends up where she ends up, and that's more or less how that's going. Reimu. Now Reimu is kind of like, I have an idea, but I also don't have an idea. So I'm thinking her lore is, basically the lore that we are given, more or less. So, she's, she lived with a wealthy family, and then eventually, probably because of her hair and her eyes and stuff, people thought she was. Mob came through, tore everything down, killed everyone, then killed her. And I'm thinking before her soul could fully go to the underworld, the hat ghost comes and saves her. But now she's bound to this world with the hat demon, but with Hat. I'm just gonna call it Hat. With Hat, and so, but she has no memories of anything to try and protect her from the traumatic event or whatever. So she basically spends thousands of years just kind of floating around, just kind of vibing, just trying just kind of living her dead life, doing her thing, and she eventually coming to where she is now. So that's more or less. Now what I was thinking is, I got this idea from watching her lore video, and it's actually the outfit video, and it's probably the one that got me my creative juices flowing the most. So I'm thinking maybe she finds the spear. I don't know why or what it is or where it's come from yet. So I'm thinking she finds the spear, and then she awakens to her past memories. But it's and she and then she gains a whole bunch of power from the spear, and she turns the hat into a ribbon as punishment for keeping her memories or whatever. But the spear or the staff or whatever is corrupting her. And I'm thinking of this because in her video, there's these hands that appear out of the darkness and like wrap a necklace around her neck. And I'm thinking maybe have her in the present get corrupted by the villains and become very which is so basic, and then she basically has to fight Etheria and whatnot. She's basically being used, mind controlled. That's more what I'm leaning towards. Again, I don't know how exactly the lore, how. Oh God, sorry, my mouth is dying on me. I don't know exactly like how her lore is supposed to be, but that's more of the vibe I got from the video, was that she was being corrupted somehow. So that's kind of the direction I'm going for. At least that's my thought process on it. So then, yeah, she has to fight Etheria, and that's basically one of the. So she basically gets turned into one of the villains, is what I'm getting at. So I'm thinking. So now, from Etheria, we go to Luxium. And Luxium's kind of eh, because again, there's the whole thing with Nonsense that I'm not sure about whether I'm doing timelines or they might either Luca and Mista and Act will be from the past or they will be from other timelines. And I'm not sure which one I want to do. And not that, sorry, Luxium. Luxium, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with them for the present. In all honesty, they're like, I'm thinking, like, I don't really have anything for Mista and Luca besides the main lore that we already have. I'm thinking they get sent back, except for this. I'm thinking they get sent back in time, and they're stuck, and it's or sent through time or world or whatever, and they're stuck in the present or whatever, and they're stuck. And they end up there together. So basically, part of the past, part of the flashbacks will be of them trying to understand this world and trying to get along with each other because they're forced. They're because they don't know what they're doing or have any idea about what's going on or anything. They're basically forced to live together and work together. And and being a mafia boss and one being a detective, they fight. It's a lot in the beginning. Is what I'm thinking. So that's more or less what I'm getting at. And I'm thinking Luca, he's not like necessarily a mafia boss. He's kind of like I guess he's more like, I see his group as more like kind of like anti-heroes. Maybe he does like his. Maybe I'm thinking maybe having the system failed. He's like he'll yell at Mista and be like, you're the way you do things doesn't work. You send people to jail for they're there for a little bit and then they come back and they do their evil all over again. So my way works. The only way to beat evil is to be evil. Or sorry, beat evil is to be evil. I think I said that weirdly. I'm not sure. I have trouble speaking sometimes. So basically he became a mafia because he wanted to punish the quote unquote bad people, is what I'm kind of getting at. I don't know, maybe that would work, maybe that doesn't. I mean, I guess. So like they're not like actually a mob. Because if he was, just one thing, Luca's Luca. He doesn't act like a mob boss. Another thing is that with his lore, if Luca was really an evil mafia boss, he wouldn't have helped the guy who was being robbed. Which is so that's the way I'm going about it. Like, it's not like it's mafia in name, and they're still outside the law, but it's more like a group of people a bunch of outcasts who come together, and then they have their own form of justice. In a way, is what I'm kind of trying to get at. At least that's my thought. And it'd be really interesting if I do the fact that they're from the past, not from another timeline. Well, that leads to the possibility of maybe one or two of his former gang members, former mafia members, him finding them like in a hospital on their deathbed or something. That would be very interesting. Yeah, that would be very interesting. Or he's not the mean and evil mafia boss that he thinks he is. And then Mista's kind of like, and so basically they're kind of stuck together for most of the past, and then they eventually Nijisanji, you know how it is. So yeah, that's kind of it for them. Again, and of course, I want them to they also had to have like a past before, they time traveled, like, their young selves and whatnot. And and I don't exactly know what I want to do with that when it comes to them, or what I want to do with them in the future present thing. Um, so let's see, Lucha and Mista. Still Vots. Vots's lore is pretty much more or less straightforward, as it already is. You know, he had a clan. He would take in the outsiders and whatnot. But if you tried to leave, he would kill you. Probably maybe some abandonment issues kind of stuck in there or something. Like why would you want to leave? Or that's a betrayal, whatever. So and then his clan gets wiped out because of the I don't remember his name. I'm not gonna lie. Clan gets wiped out, and basically I'm thinking maybe he survives. They think he dies, but I'm thinking maybe he lives, but maybe he like just kind of like exiles himself afterwards. It's like for his failure, for his, and he so basically I'm thinking he exiles himself out into the mountains, where he basically lives in a cave, uh, just kind of sitting there moping, meditating, thinking about his past and thinking about how he failed his people and maybe like coming to regret having killed those people who tried leaving. Maybe thinking why did they try to leave in the first place or something like that. Maybe I don't know. So and then eventually he comes down to the mountain, sees the modern world, and eventually tries to rebuild his clan. And I'm thinking, I don't know. I kind of have this thought, because seeing the way Vox and Reimu interact, I'm thinking maybe Reimu in her ghost form, when she's just kind of floating around, going to places, she ends up in Vox's cave or something, and they fight and argue, and she kind of like in her own yelling Reimu way, kind of gets him off his ass and gets him to leave the mountain or something. That's what I'm thinking. Because I remember reading something, I don't know, true, where like they mentioned that they met each other like in the far past or something like that. Which I kind of really like that idea. You know, having known each other, and then she like met each other in the far past when he was in charge of his clan, and then she like finds him in a cave all beaten up and mopey and all, and she's like, oh, you're still alive and kicking, huh, you, or whatever. That's a bad line, but ah, sorry. uh Shu, again, is one of the ones I have no idea what to do with. I kind of need to do research on the type of magic he does, like Jinju. I feel so I don't know how to pronounce it. I feel so bad trying to pronounce it because I know I'm gonna fuck it up. But what I'm thinking is that the lore he's given us isn't true. It's a lie. Like his where he's actually from is something else, something darker that he doesn't want anyone to know. And that's what I'm kind of thinking of. Like that poop story isn't true. He's just lying to us because he doesn't want to talk about his past, and that will be shown through flashbacks. What that past is, I have no idea. But that's basically what I'm planning on doing with that. I I'm not sure what to do. I kind of do. I had this idea. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it. Well, you know, the the main issue with Ike is there's two things. Well, yeah, no. There's the main issue with Ike is why he gets sent to the future or other timeline or whatever. Because it's basically he's just working at his desk, he's writing, and all of a sudden he's on the street. Like it's kind of. I mean, there's really no. I know I read in his it was like a lore. There was a lore video I watched, and it was kind of like he was given a magic book by the vendor when he was a child, and I'm like, I don't remember any hearing about this magic book, um but then I don't watch IT, so I wouldn't know. And besides, that was when he was a child. He changed. He came here when he was an adult, so it's kind of like his reason. I'm thinking maybe he does stumble upon a magic book at some point, and maybe that's what sends him to the future or other timeline. I'm thinking maybe that book will end up sending him throughout time or something, or throughout time or something. So then he ends up meeting up with people at various points in their lives. Like we'll see in a flashback, we'll see Ike or something doing something maybe, which would also kind of explain how he's in Yudo's lore while also not having aged at all. Is maybe there's something that's sending him back and forth through time. Maybe this book. Uh, what that book is, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe something kind of some. It's kind of the book's kind of sentient and it's using him to kind of like the TARDIS used the Doctor. I'm thinking something like that. Maybe he gets sent to the present, and then he ends up streaming and stuff, and then he ends up being sent later on during the future timelines, and now he's kind of so like Ike's kind of like people are like, "Where's Ike?" and he's being like flung through time or something like that. I don't know. Or maybe he would have been sent to various places before he actually stopped and landed in the present. Actually, I kind of like that idea better. Where, when he's on the street in his lore video, when he's on the street in the car and he's like, and then maybe he gets sent while he's walking around, he gets sent through time again or something. Maybe something like that. That's my thought process. That again, I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I'm thinking. So with Lucium done, there's Noctitz, who I kind of went into Albans. The reason why he got brought back is that's what I'm thinking. Um, if I don't do the timeline thing, then I'm not 100% sure the reason why he would end up there. I still got to figure that out. But his lore is basically his lore. The lore he already has. It's not changing. It's pretty much the same. Noctis is probably the ones I know the least about, in all honesty, out of everyone. Sunny, same lore probably ish. I don't know. I do want to for the past segments. He'll probably be doing maybe like I don't know. Maybe for the past flashbacks will show him dealing with with another case or something, and then of course there'll be the flashback where he was, which is what brought him here and how he landed in front of Nijisanji's studio, apparently. So Nijisanji outside the Nijisanji office building. So again, I'm not sure what exactly to do with Sunny. Again, maybe the no. I was gonna say maybe his boss was working with Nijisanji, but no, his boss is part of that terrorist group. So maybe someone was like tricking them or something. Maybe I don't know. Actually, it could be actually okay. Going actually, I said I knocked is one I know at least about, and that's kind of true. But Uti is different. Because what I have is Uti's lore is basically the same. He's got brought to the stuck in that cult place. He escapes. He runs for it. A star gets stuck in his eye. He gains psychic powers, and then he uses those psychic powers to change worlds, to change timelines or go for time or something. So I'm thinking of doing that, but I'm adding on to that. So when he travels through timelines or time or whatever, he plops out and he lands right in front of Alira, who is sitting there waiting for him because she saw that he would come out through her vision. So, and she's like, "Hello, Uti," and he's like, "Who the fuck are you, bitch?" And how do you know my name? Blah blah blah. So I'm thinking, what I'm thinking is, so basically, he's one of the ones who knows what's going on and what's happening because Illyra is using him and his ability to travel through time and or dimensions or whatever to help with Nijisanji. So maybe he was setting up Sunny's boss just so Sunny could end up in Nijisanji. I don't know, maybe. But yeah, he's basically Illyra. Like he's been Illyra basically takes him under her wing, and he grows up, and she's like, and he. I'm thinking because he debuts so late, maybe she's like, "Hey, you want to join Nijisanji?" And he's like, "No, I don't want to be a streamer." And she buds him every wave, and eventually says yes, and then he joins. That's how he's a knot. That's what I'm thinking. And of course he has psychic powers, whatnot, and he can travel. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing with Uti. I don't. I'm sorry. Uh, folder. I have no idea. What I'm thinking is basically his. I've heard his Legatus story referred to as a self-insert fanfiction, and I'm like, let's do that. Which, no, don't. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to insult him. So don't put words in my mouth. But I'm thinking maybe the Legatus lore isn't his actual lore. It's what he's saying. Maybe he's just a boring archivist, and this is his chance to, be something cooler. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Again, Folder is. I'm not sure. I don't even know why he would end up in Nijisanji in the first place. Is honest, or how he would get sent to the past or other timeline in the first place. So I have no idea what to do with him. Um, yeah, him and Sunny, I don't. Sunny and Albin, I don't know what to do with. And then we got Yudo, and I know Yudo's graduated, or fired, whatever one you want to say. And I would have done this earlier, but then the news of Yudo's graduation came out, and I'm like, maybe it'd be better to do this video at a different time. So I'm doing this now. Then after it's been a few. So Yudo is also another one I wasn't exactly sure what to do with. It's just his normal lore, and the whole thing with Ike is probably what makes the whole thing the hardest out of everything, because there's no reason for Ike to be in his lore in the future, when not having grown at all, and just I don't. His lore is probably what makes it the most complicated. It probably makes it more complicated. But yeah, I don't know what to do with him either. His lore is basically, his lore backstory is basically what it's already is. And then we get to Luna, and Luna. Some of them I know what to do with. Some of them I don't. Luna basically is at a school that is run by Nijisanji. That's more or less what it is. They found talented people that could, and it's kind of unlike a scholarship program or something. I don't know. They just had to stream as part of their schooling or whatnot. So I'm thinking, okay, so Aster again is another one that I have no idea what to do with. He's a star. He falls from the heavens. In his lore video, there's him with like this dying old woman or something. And he's looking at that picture. I'm thinking he gets found by her. She takes him in, treats him as a son, takes care of him, and then she eventually gets sick and dies. and she convinces him to go to. Maybe she convinces him to go to Luna before she dies. I don't know. Uh, but yeah, him, I don't know exactly know what to do with. Now, let's see. Ko is also another one that I don't know what to do with. Uh, his bad story is same. He was a sickly kid. He missed a lot of school, didn't have any friends, and then he got isekai'd. So now he's uh, into this world. Although now he has the abilities of the moon, whatever that means, which I had to figure that out. And then I'm also gonna have it so the moon heals him, so now he's no longer sickly, like he was in his world. Um, that's that's more or less him. And of course, I'm just talking about the past for all these people. Like when it comes to like the present thing, I have no idea what to do with anyone. But yeah, I'm thinking yeah, I don't let's see. That's his basic lore, his basic backstory. You gotta figure out what his moon powers are, though. I mean, maybe he's possibly maybe he's his powers only work when the moon's out, or maybe he gets recharged by the moon, kind of like how Superman gets recharged by the sun. Actually, I think I'll do that second one where the moon. He has powers, but his powers run out, and he gets recharged from moonlight or something like that. Maybe he's more. He's probably more powerful in the moonlight too. I don't know. That's just kind of I'm just kind of spitballing here. Maria, Maria, I kind of know what to do with, and I kind of don't. I'm thinking it's more about who creates her is what I'm trying to figure out. Because I'm like, who is her creator? Because one possibility is that she was created by that her creator was someone she was created and she was kind of treated like a slave. That's one possibility. Another possibility is she was created and then she was kind of left on her own and she got picked up by a family who kind of treated her pretty, you know, that's another possibility. And if I go through that, I don't know what, what is her reason for creation is one of the problems I'm having. Because again, if I do it the first way, then yeah, that makes the reason that does create the reason. If I don't do it that way, I have to actually find a reason, and I'm trying to. Also, the way I want to write Maria, I don't want Maria to be like a weak doll. I want her to actually be really strong, like like super strength or something kind of thing. I don't know why. I just get that vibe from her, and especially when she's talking about how she used to like work out and used to do like martial arts, and she once had a six pack, and so I kind of want to. It just kind of makes you want to make her like super strong or something, like not like a weak, fragile doll like you would expect her to be, with someone who's very capable and a bit chuny. She's her eye doesn't her pass is the same with like in her lore video where she's the doll. She's a doll. She's just on on the dusty shelf for the longest time. Someone finds her and turns her into a real person. The reason why is still being thought out, but and who does it? Because maybe she was just an experiment and then it's assessed and they're like, oh, we don't know what to do with this, so they just kind of like kick her to the curve or something. Maybe it is like I said the first time, where maybe someone creates her to basically be a slave or a surrogate child. Maybe I don't know. Yeah. Also, this is kind of a bit off topic, but Maria freaking scares me. If anyone scares me in Nijisanji EN, it's Maria. I don't know why. I just get a vibe from her. She terrifies me. It's just like, no. I don't know. I feel like there's like, she seems relatively normal, but I feel like there's this insane power behind her eyes that she will just like snap your neck without hesitation with a smile on her face. That's kind of the vibe I get from her, and I don't know why. But yeah, that's so. And then I think it's really again her basic lore. She's she's an angel from the heavens, celestial realm, whatever. Uh, she does a lot of bad stuff. She gets kicked out, ends up in a Luna, and she kind of has a bit of a authority problem. Let's like fights, a lot of fights and stuff. But again, her Luna's more or less just their lore video for the most part, with a few things added, and for the ones I do know what I want to do with. And okay, and then we got Scarla, which I know zero about. Like, she didn't have a lore video, unlike everyone else, and they're very. She hasn't really said anything about, as far as I know, about her lore. I don't. We don't even know what. Maybe I just don't know. Maybe because I don't watch her at all. So maybe I'm just ignorant in that area. But I don't even know what her powers as enchantress would even mean. What does the enchantress mean? So I have to figure that out. It would be better if she's said something maybe on stream. Maybe I can find some information about that. But for the moment, I have no idea what her past would be, or anything, or even what her powers would be. Hold on, cat. You want out? You want out, cat? Come on, get. Sorry, the cat wanted out. See, this would be good. Honestly, this would be better to do if I had people in like chat or stuff, because then they can help me figure things out and give me ideas, and I could use them as soundboard. Of course, I don't have any of that, so I'm just kind of doing this. But yeah, so again, a lot of these are just the basic beginning concepts. Like, I haven't like actually started writing anything. I haven't actually. So there are a lot of unknowns or things I'm not sure about. And Scarlet is definitely one of them. Because all I know about her is that she's an enchantress, whatever that means. She has big booba, and she misspelled her name on her application. It's actually Scarlet, but she got Scarlet. So that's all I know about her. And then Ren. Ren, I think, is gonna be really fun to write his flashbacks for. Because basically, Ren's lore video is basically his lore, his past. He was an alien prince, a very brutal and dominating alien prince. His kind had slaughtered a lot and taken over a lot of planets and stuff. And he's like, you know what? No, I'm sick of this. He goes to Earth, discovers the new things like music and whatnot, and it's like, hey, I don't have to keep killing. If you think about it, considering his lore, I don't think anyone's really like thought about this, but can you think of the amount of people Ren has killed in his lore? The amount of destruction he has caused, lives he has ruined and stuff, which I think would be a very interesting contrast, writing present Ren and past Ren. And I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, having the aliens that Zion is warning about that's going to attack in the war, it might be his race. I'm thinking maybe, and maybe at some point maybe like one of his maybe like a brother or a general or someone comes down as a scout or something and finds Ren, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? And then there's a whole, which I think Iluna and Etsole's storylines are going to be intertwined, and it's going to focus more on the Zion end of the world thing. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the end of the world thing was already dealt with. I don't fucking know. I doubt it though. But that's where I'm going with it. That's what I'm planning on doing. I think I'm gonna do that. It sounds. So it'll be interesting. And then we get to Etzole, which for the most part, I'm not gonna really go on about because they just debuted. I know almost nothing about them. Um, it was just what we got in the lore videos, nothing else. There are a few things that I will address. Like one thing, I don't trust the institution they are at. For one thing, it's not the institution of Luna, which is run by Nijisanji, as you can tell because Nijisanji's logo is actually on the school. I didn't see anything like that in Etsule's school. I don't even remember what the school's called. I need to look that up. But I don't know. It's just the way I don't trust them. It's just the way, when they come and visit uh Doppio or in Zion. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still not fully getting their names correctly, so excuse me. Uh, Drop Scythe and Zion. I'm thinking, I don't know. It's just the way, like when he comes to and says the elite knows. Like, what are the elites? What does he mean by elite? When does he mean the rich people? What are the elites? Are the elites, or does he mean people with powers? Like maybe it's an institution, kind of like Xavier's school for gifted youngsters. I'm thinking the school probably is full of people with different powers, but why they chose these people specifically to be on the student council, I'm not sure. Now, or I don't know. I just something about them. I don't trust them. Maybe I'm just thinking too much into it, and my creativity is just kind of like, it could be something more. There could be something more, and I feel like maybe they know about the war and they want to stop it, but they want to do it because they want to steal the aliens' technology and use that for their own gains. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Yeah, for the most part, for the new group, I don't have any I don't have any idea where I want to go with that. For a lot of this, it's mainly I basically the past and the flashback stuff is the main stuff I've kind of been talking about. So that's the stuff I kind of have more of an idea about. The present stuff, the present timeline. Cat's meowing at me again. Give me a second. You just went outside or outside the room. What do you want? Go. Oh no, that's a different cat. You want in? Are you gonna come in, cat, or what? Ah, that was the other cat. Might have heard. I didn't mute. I didn't try. I didn't bother. Didn't care. Anyways, um, yeah, I don't know. It's more the present because I'm definitely gonna have multiple things going on. Because I want one thing. I'm gonna have Diablo Gym, and that's gonna be Rosamine, and probably most of Obsidia. Um, or probably Obsidia also is probably gonna be involved in that, and I'm probably Pomu saying their past. I don't know. Luna and Etzele are gonna have their thing. And then Etheria is gonna have their thing, and who's gonna be a part of what thing and where and how they connect, I haven't fully figured out. Because I mean, it's a big project, a big concept, a big story, a big idea, and I don't have the experience to deal with that stuff. So I'm trying to figure things out here. But yeah, it's basically the ideas I have, the more or less the concepts I got. Again, I would be nice if I had people I could, be a soundboard to and talk to about this, but I don't. I have a non-existent chat. As you can see with the empty chat, maybe a bot will show up. Maybe that will be someone. But that's just what I'm thinking, more or less. Though Nijisanji does make this kind of hard because they have this, and I there's one thing, the Jaquweb still going to be coming out. Apparently that's different from that Soleil. Which who knows what they're gonna do. And also they keep freaking adding people. I mean, honestly, they probably shouldn't. Because having I understand their reasoning, but having too many livers, I think, gets in the way of the bottom line, especially for the other livers. Because people's money is even more stretched out and thin, and people can't super chat as much or buy as much merch because there's too much merch, and cat, I literally just let you in. Really? Freaking cat. Yeah. It does make me wonder if they're gonna do a virtual academy, which would this I do always I love the idea of the virtual academy. Does in JP the virtual they had a virtual academy which is JP, which they took lesser known streamers and stuff, people with not a lot of stuff, and kind of like brought them in and taught them and made them and trying to treat it like a school or something. Um, which I really like that idea. I think that's really cool. It gives people a chance to do that. So I wonder if they will do that. But honestly, I feel like they probably have enough people, unless with possibly the virtual academy, maybe if they do. And it actually be kind of good story wise if they do that, because because then it gives me people to help introduce into the world, But anyways, that's just I don't know, that's just my random thoughts on that matter. But it's yeah, more or less that's what I got. It's my concepts and my ideas. It's not a lot, and even if I do something with this, I'm not sure exactly how to do it in a way. Like I don't know where I would even like post anything. Like if I do manage to do it and people actually do have an interest in it, like where would I post anything? As there's like no good sites, and the sites that there are suck. I mean, I did do a thing where I read 2 short stories on my YouTube in a pre-recorded video, but I don't know. I don't feel like that would work, especially if it's a longer story. I don't know. Maybe I'll put like links to like a Google Doc form or Dropbox on Twitter or something. I don't know. But yeah, but that's just even if I manage to do something like this. But I'll continue to think about it, and maybe I'll do another one of these videos in the future. Maybe I'll do one for Hololive, because as I said, I had a whole idea involving from the first alternative trailer, and I actually wrote a little bit of it, even though I don't fully have an idea about where I want to go with it. But that's besides the point. Maybe I'll do. I don't know. And if by some miracle people do take an interest in this, and people do actually want to watch it, and I actually do end up writing it, I might private this video just to prevent people from having any form of spoilers or something. I don't know. Maybe this is all just hearsay and conjecture. So, but yeah, it's basically wow, it's only been 2 hours already. Wow, I've been talking a lot. This explains why my throat is so dry. Yeah. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to try this, see how it went. Try something new. Maybe use some of that Nijisanji brand recognition to get views. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, that'll be it. And next stream I do, if anyone cares, will be a normal game stream. Probably finish Over the Hedge. I think I'm almost done with that. Maybe I'll just go back to Sonic Unleash. I don't know. Oh, I guess there's also the other one too. I don't know. It will be game stream. I don't know when. I don't know when it's gonna happen or how it's gonna do. Especially since now I'm gonna be getting. I finally got heard back, and I'm finally gonna get a job, and I'm gonna be doing training on a couple days. So I don't know how my schedule's gonna look anyway. So whatever. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Not like the non-existent audience cares. But anyways, that should be. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, we'll see you later or something. I guess I don't know.